Ladies and gentlemen, as if life couldn't get any better, it's time once again for the Pipe Podcast with my man, Crispin, Cruz, and the Deej. I can't believe they're letting us do this again. Isn't this awesome?
It's so awesome.
I can't believe it. Hey, why don't you tell everybody what the Pipe Podcast is?
Why do you keep pushing that over to me? I already
Because
know.
you won't remember.
I know. It's prospecting.
Yes.
We talk about sales initiatives. We talk about sales process, and we talk about experiences. That's what we talk about.
You nailed it. And it should be fun the whole way through.
That's right.
I got to tell you something that happened yesterday. My garage door opener broke.
Okay.
Nightmare.
Right.
You know, it's like the weirdest thing because growing up.
Now, did it just stop like there, or did it make that like screeching sound?
And the garage door is 3,000 pounds. It's like impossible to do. Anyway,
with those
to
big
do this.
springs.
Yeah, nightmare.
I like that.
But I, which is weird because when I was a kid, we didn't have a garage door opener. And I was a big. I actually was the garage door opener. My dad would come up to the house and he'd honk, and it was like a special honk. It went like this, like that was the dad honk. And so that told me to come downstairs.
It's called shaving a haircut. You know that, right?
Oh, okay, so it was a shave and a haircut honk. And I would open up the garage, and my dad would come in, and then I would close. That was my job. 10 years old, that was my job. My grandmother, the last time I ever saw her, she came from Israel, and she hung out with us for a couple of months, and then she went home. The last time I ever saw her. And she had witnessed this whole thing. Every day, my dad would come home, I'd come downstairs, I'd open up the garage, I'd close it, have to lock it, do the whole thing. And we had a key. A key for your garage door. You know, it's kind of a weird thing.
Oh, yeah, because it was...
And I don't know why, I didn't hate it, but it was like drudgery to do this one thing for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And so when my grandmother left, she gave a gift to the family. And she gave it to the family, but I knew it was for me. And she bought a garage door opener, our first kind of electric garage door opener.
Wow.
Yes, it was a Genie. I remember it was a Genie, and I had the little button, and I would press the button. And still till this day, I can't press the button in my car that opens up the garage door and not think about my grandmother.
Wow.
Till this day, 1,000 years ago.
Right.
That's what a real salesperson is. That you can equate some happy emotion with another person.
Yep.
And a lot of salespeople today would like to do these kind of transactional things and don't realize it's the little extra stuff that they do that actually creates the sale and changes the whole dynamic, that you don't got to worry about manipulation and coercement to make a sale. You just put your prospect in a position that they want to buy.
Right.
And that's what I'd like to talk about today, about mistakes that salespeople make, making it much harder to earn a great living than it could be.
Boy, that was a really good segue.
I'm here for you.
I like that. I like that a lot. That was really good.
Yeah.
And I learned something about you today.
About my grandmother?
Yeah.
Meme.
About how you hate going downstairs.
Yeah, and
when you're hearing the horn.
Well, you know, as a kid, you need to complain about something.
Yeah, right.
You know, I imagine
mine was taking out the trash.
Imagine the ease of my life that was my thing I had to complain about.
I know, right? I know. So that was it. But here's the thing you left out. At that time of your life, you were not only the garage door opener.
Yes.
You were also the channel changer.
Oh, I was the channel changer.
You were also the trash.
I'll never. Danny, quick, come here, quick, Danny. What? Can you change your channel for me? A little. And then the
remote control.
Yeah, and the knob broke off.
Oh no.
Yeah. And so like the only ways I knew what channel we were on, we'd use like a wrench to turn the thing. Yeah. And the only channel is that 4 and 5 were next to each other. Yeah. So you'd have to flip, and you know, you wouldn't get, and then you finally, okay, good, and then we go back.
Right.
Gosh.
So you were the remote control.
I was the remote control, and then I was the lawnmower, of course.
The lawnmower.
Yeah,
you were the landscaper.
Yeah, I was the landscaper.
And the trash. You were probably the I guess you don't call it the trash person or the
garbage. The garbage man.
The garbage.
The garbage man.
The
yeah,
garbage
I was the
man.
garbage man.
You're the garbage man. So I like.
Yeah, but that was easy. We had a milkman. Did you ever have a milkman?
No.
When I was really little, we had this kind of like box in front of the house, and it was a refrigerated box. And each morning, the milkman, and we'd get cream and milk, sometimes orange juice.
You know that's funny. So we get cream and milk. And sometimes orange juice.
Yes, it was sometimes orange juice.
I had to replay that one. So, no, when I was growing up, my father always used to say to me that the milkman was my father. So I didn't really understand it until much later in life. We never had a milkman, so I guess I never saw him.
Everybody in my family has dark hair and dark eyes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I had blonde hair and kind of hazel eyes. It's kind of gray now.
So maybe the milkman was bringing more than just orange juice and milk and cream.
He was really good looking.
You obviously weren't the only one that thought
that's right.
so.
That's
okay.
right.
All right. Well, anyway, let's move into the actual topic of the day.
Yes.
So tell me, Dan, what is one of the mistakes? We're going to talk about 3. I could talk about 100. I mean, literally. I could talk about 100 mistakes that you make when selling because I make 100 mistakes every day. But
why don't you start with one and then I'll go because I talked for a while too.
All right.
I don't want to take up all the time. All the air out of the room.
I know. I feel a little hypoxic right now, to be honest. Okay, so here's the thing. I believe one of the biggest mistakes that a salesperson makes is that they talk themselves out of the sale. And if you have this deep, compelling reason to tell your story, then here I'm going to give you, the cure to that. Shut up. Shut your mouth. Okay? That's it. I mean, because nobody cares. Now, I'm sorry to tell you that, and we can talk about the Easter Bunny and, and Santa Claus and we can talk about those guys too, later in the podcast if we need to.
Yes.
But nobody cares about your story. The only thing that's important is what's important to the prospect. So shut up, listen, ask questions. Shut up, listen, ask questions. You want to be a better salesperson? Just do those 3 things.
Do you ever find yourself just talking and you know what's happening and you almost can't stop? You're in a sales call and oh my gosh, if you can hear yourself talking, it's too much.
You're doing it wrong.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I mean, at any time, this is the most I think that you'll ever hear, Dan and I talk because we in a sales call, I mean, we're asking questions, we're gathering information, we're trying to see if there's a good fit. That's what we're doing, and we're listening. I mean, that's what we're doing. And here I challenge everyone out there, today that's either listening to this podcast or watching it. I challenge them. Go home tonight, find somebody that you love, that that you care about in your life, and just go home and say, honey, listen, tell me about your day. Tell me what happened. And then let her.
And I know everybody is saying, well, if I did that, they know something was up. It was crazy. Okay. You know what? They wouldn't.
Yeah.
They love it.
And let her start, and then say, well, tell me more.
Oh,
how did that make you feel?
You know what's a great one?
How did that, what so tell me what happened. And then you continue the conversation and just ask questions.
Yeah, and after they say what they're going to say, and you know that there's more in there, instead of saying, go on or tell me more, you could just re-say the last 3 words that they said.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what they did. And then here we go
again.
We're back on it. Yeah.
I mean, and it's just gathering more. If you try this tonight, I've had people come back into training where I've trained them questioning skills, active listening. I've had them come back to me the next day in the training that we provide at Sales Arbiter, the outcome sales training. Okay, I've had people come back to me the next day and say, my daughter, my husband, my wife told me they have never had such a wonderful conversation with me. They have never had such a productive conversation with me, Chris, and I didn't say 5 words.
Yeah. People will like you more. I don't know what it is about that guy. I just really like that guy.
Right.
You know, you didn't say anything. I think that's a great one. Let's do that. I'm going to add one that's just piggybacking on that one, and that is selling too early. A lot of times you're doing that questioning and you think you found the answer. Aha! I know it. This is their problem. And so you're ready to go into as soon as you say, I got it, this is the problem, there's probably 2 more levels.
That's right. That's right.
There's probably 2 more levels under there. And so instead of going into full-on presentation mode, and by the way, presentation mode changes your facial expression, it changes your physiology, it changes the smell of the room. People know when you're going into sales mode.
That's right.
Your voice, everything changes.
Yeah.
So hold off, baby. Let them buy. Don't worry about selling. So as soon as you think you got it, pause and say, one last question. All that stuff that you just said, what do you think is the most important thing, the issue that's going on right now? And when they give you the answer, say, I think I got it, but I got to ask you, why is that? Or why haven't you done anything about that yet? And just let the floodgates open. Put them in pain. I've seen you do it. Yeah. It's horrible. I mean, it's devastating. Because when you got them, listen, if I don't do this, I'm going to have to fire my son-in-law. You think you got it there, right? Yeah. Well, let me ask you something. What's that going to do with your relationship with your daughter? You know? Yeah. And it's going to kill a daughter. And so what's Thanksgiving going to be like next year? By the time you get down, they want to kill themselves. It's brutal.
Yeah.
But that's how deep you have to dig. So number 2 would be, listening skills is number 1. Number 2 would be, don't sell too early.
Right.
I got another one. If you got one, hit me up.
I got one, but it's probably part of yours too.
Okay, well, and then I'm sure there'll be bonuses.
I think there will be.
Okay.
All right. So we'll give them a bonus. Okay. All right. So here's one of the biggest mistakes also. There's no process. They don't have a selling process. They
What do you mean? Attention, interest, conviction, desire, close. Everybody knows that. What do you mean?
I'm talking about a full-on sales process that they follow every single time. All right? I'm saying a compartmental process that allows them to stay in control of the sales event, make sure that they're buttoning it up end to end, that where they're communicating to their prospect, hey, let me tell you, this is the way this is going to go. Let me tell you what's going to happen over the next hour of our time together. You've told me over the phone that you have this issue, this issue, this issue, this issue. We're going to explore those 3, okay? And then at the end of our time together, we're going to make a decision on how we move forward. I'm going to ask you for a yes, a no, or a clear future, Dan. And what clear future means is, when do you think we're going to get to a yes or a no? And then we're going to talk about the elephant in the room, which is the budget. Does that seem fair?
Oh my gosh. That's so good. By the way, how much does it cost?
Now, time out, okay? Yeah, you're on page 7 or 8, and I'm still on page 1 or 2. I'd be happy. We're going to get to cost. I promise you that. But before we do that, let's explore some of those issues, problems, concerns that you're having, and let me make sure that there's a good fit between our 2 organizations. And if there's not a good fit, no is okay.
Okay, now for all your listeners out there, you see how deftly he just went right into presentation mode? And because he's so practiced and rehearsed, you didn't feel, the smell didn't change in the room.
Right.
It just went right there. Time out.
Time out.
Yeah, that's your thing. Time out.
Right.
You're on page 7 and I'm on page 2 or 3.
Right.
Okay? That's it. That comes out just like, sometimes you, at the beginning when you're learning how to drive a car, think of all the stuff you have to do. Oh, the red light changes. Let me retract my right leg from the accelerator. I'm going to place it gently on the brake. And
you still drive like that, though.
Oh, I'm a terrible driver.
I've driven with this
guy. I am the worst driver.
Promise me, whoever is listening, if you ever have an engagement with Dan, Dan Jourdan.
Yeah.
Sales energizer extraordinaire, guru, sales guru. If you ever have an engagement, let him drive separately.
Always.
You go in your vehicle, meet him there. Don't ever ride with this man.
I'm a terrible driver. And so much so that I put a student driver sticker on my car so people stay away from me. You know, you got to do that. And I leave really early so there's no traffic.
He's got it all.
My whole goal is to avoid other human beings.
He's got the student driver sticker. He's got the baby on board.
Yeah, I got
He's
it.
got the toddler tied to a seat, like the little caution sign. His car looks like a driving billboard.
Yeah, that's
You
right.
know,
I'm very safe with that.
The caution tape is wrapped around it. You know.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
It's awesome.
You got to wear. Actually, I have a joke, but I'm not going to tell it. All right. So the point is now, once you're rehearsed,
Right.
you just go right into it. You don't have to think about it. You see the red light, you put your brake on.
That's right.
You know, it's just reaction. Boom. When someone says, "Well, what's the bright?" Time out.
Yeah,
You're not thinking about it.
Yeah,
Time
time
out.
out, time out.
Yeah. So that whole process of taking people through the sales process is very important, and you do the same thing every time.
Now, let me ask you a question.
No.
Because you just observed that.
Yeah, I
right?
observed it.
So, did it sound scripted? Did it sound like a script? I mean,
No, it
did
sounded-
Did it sound like that? Like I was calling you from reading 5 pages of a script, calling you from India, trying to figure out the English language. Did it sound like that?
No.
No.
It sounded like you were from the Philippines.
There.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Okay.
So here's the thing. It's a script. That what I just delivered was part of a script.
Mm-hmm.
And it's only because I practiced it. I've done it 1,000 times because now I can do it in my sleep. You know, that's the power of practice, and really, practice makes perfect.
Practice, drill, rehearse.
That's it.
Practice, drill, rehearse.
Yeah.
All day long.
Good.
All right.
Bonus.
I got
One,
one, two,
number
three.
4.
Oh, this is number 4.
Yeah, this
The
is
bonus might be number 5 if you got another one.
I probably have another one, but go ahead.
I think a major reason why people leave unsatisfied from sales calls and their wallets remain unsatisfied from money is refusal to close.
Refusal to close.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
No, it's just a fear of closing.
Okay.
And there's several reasons. I've actually studied this. Something very dramatic happens when you make a sale.
Right.
You lose your best prospect. And that prospect, that pipeline of yours is a really powerful security blanket. People just love coming in and looking at that pipeline and saying, look what I have here.
Right.
And if someone says no and they leave that pipeline, that's terrifying. But if they say yes, they also leave that pipeline.
Right.
And so they're afraid on both sides of that equation. So they just refuse to do it. And when I say closing, I mean on every part of the sale. So at the initial part, like when you were doing that upfront contract of telling me how this meeting was going to go along.
That's right.
You finished it by saying, does that sound fair?
Yeah.
And forced me to say yes.
Right.
You closed me.
Yeah.
You bastard. I mean, that's what happened. You closed me. You forced me to do that.
Right.
And so that's what those little closes are. Sound good? Fair enough?
Yeah.
Are you with me? On the same page? Are we together with this?
Yeah.
Do we got it all?
Yeah. Yeah.
And sometimes you don't have to say a word. Is this on film? You could just do this. You can do whatever.
Right.
Shrug your shoulders.
Right. Right. The listeners are going to have a difficult time seeing that one, but go
The
ahead.
listeners?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, picture me shimmying. So that's what we're doing there. But they just won't close. And then at the end,
Right.
I think every salesperson needs to have something that they're really comfortable saying, so it just comes out all the time.
Yeah.
For me, I've been using it for a long time. So after all that, can you see any reason why we shouldn't do some business together?
Mm-hmm. There you go. Yep.
Just whatever. Can you see any reason why we shouldn't do some business together?
Yep. So you want to know what mine is? Mine is.
Yes.
You know what? I'm kind of rambling here. Does any of this make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So there we are. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And then we can go on from there, what have you. So what do we do now?
Right. Right.
I mean, if you get to the point, well, yeah, it kind of makes sense. So where do we go from here?
Right. Great. And then
You
you gotta go into it.
Yeah.
And you gotta say, okay, great.
Okay.
When do you want to get started? When would it sounds like we've got maybe more to talk about, but I think there's a good fit between our two organizations. Everything sounds good. When do you want to get started?
Yeah. And remember, it's okay to say no to me.
Right.
You could even throw that in a little extra push away at that
That's right.
point.
That's right.
So
Yeah.
I think that people are afraid of the close, but if you get comfortable with it and you go through this whole process and use those closes throughout the whole presentation, the last one is just a continuation of the others.
Yeah.
So just like practicing, drilling and rehearsing your presentation, practice and drill, rehearse your trial closes throughout the whole process. And then the last one is just a trial close.
That's right. It should be the whole sales event should be one that your prospect doesn't even perceive it as that. Dan, you made a great point earlier when you said, isn't this called conversation, right?
Yeah.
I mean, would you start and you ask a question of someone and then they respond and then you potentially ask another question or gather more information? What's that called? A conversation,
Yeah.
right? I mean, if you're doing it the right way, then your prospect should be participating in your whole sales process and never even feel as though that they're being
They're
sold.
having fun.
They're having fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fun
if
thing.
you
I mean,
can't-
imagine for an hour and a half you get to hang out with the DJ.
Imagine it.
I know. I mean,
what could be better?
as if life couldn't get any better.
All right.
The
I
sun
hear
is
ya.
shining, and I'm with the DJ.
I'll tell you what I wrote down here. I got to tell you.
You wrote it down?
Yeah, I wrote it down. If your wallet is unsatisfied.
Did I say that?
Yeah. I mean, it's gold.
Yeah,
It's
is
just
that gold?
Yeah. I mean, my wallet's unsatisfied today. I wake up in the morning, I look at him, he's sitting there smoking a cigarette, having a little bourbon, from the night before, because my wife raided him, right? And took advantage of him.
Yeah.
And he's sitting there and he's looking at me and he looks up at me, my wallet, and he says, "Hey, Chris," he says, "I'm a little unsatisfied today. Can you help me with that?"
You really sound like
And then he takes a big drag out of
Yeah,
his cigarette. And he's, "Can you please help me with that?" And I'm like, "Okay, let's go."
And then he said, "What's it going to take to get you into this car here today?" But you say satisfied. I heard I went to a Jeffrey Gittimer conference a while back, and he used to say he says, you don't want satisfied customers. Satisfied is 1 millimeter above unsatisfied.
Right.
I mean, it's like, it's the lowest, it's the bar, it's where everybody is. If someone's satisfied, you can lose them for a nickel.
Right.
Because then it's all about money. He says, you don't want satisfied because you want loyal customers. And he says, I'll explain the difference that you can understand. Would you rather your spouse be loyal or satisfied? Well, maybe you shouldn't answer that. But the point is there's a difference.
Right.
When someone's loyal to you, don't, if they have a problem, they're going to call you before they cancel.
Yeah, that's right.
Someone's loyal to you, they're going to give you referrals and call the person and then call you and let you know what's going on. It makes them feel good to see you succeed.
Right, to prop you up.
Yes, it's not 1 millimeter below, but I don't know if that equates to your wallet. It was just a good story.
Well, I don't know if it does either. But he's always talking to me like that. He's got bad language too. that guy.
I'm unsatisfied.
Especially when he's talking like this in the morning. You know what I mean? He's got bad language.
Can I add an extra bonus?
Oh my goodness, another one?
That's gonna help sales.
They're getting this for free. We can't give them
They're
it
gonna
all.
help salespeople.
All right,
That's
go
why
ahead.
people come to Sales Arbiter, because it's always a little bit more. It's a lagniappe. You know what a lagniappe is?
No,
Oh
but
no.
it sounds like something.
Have you ever been to New Orleans for
Nolans?
Mardi Gras?
Aren't you supposed to say Nolans?
I don't know.
No?
I went there on a hitchhiking trip.
Oh.
I was there for a month.
You have a book?
I was living in
Wait, your book.
oh, the guaranteed. What are the Hitchhiking Guides to Guaranteed Success? That was my first book.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love that book. by
That's
the
a good
way.
book.
I've read that book. That's the only one that I've read because everything else was a bunch of garbage. I just like saying
Proverbs,
garbage. I just
wisdom
like
of the
saying
ages.
garbage.
Here's a big challenge for salespeople.
Yes.
Because we're generally, I'm speaking for myself, gregarious, bombastic. annoying,
No.
center of attention type of
dare you,
type
sir.
A people. And I mean, really annoying. I've known that I wouldn't marry my wife until she was annoyed with me.
Really?
Yeah, like she was like to the point, like, you're so annoying.
Right.
And then I said, so do you still want to marry me?
Yeah.
And she said yes. And so that's why we got married, because I wanted her to hate me first before we got married. And it doesn't take long. I mean, it's cute and funny at the beginning.
Right.
But I mean, after 6 months, you want to kill me. Anyway, but which is one thing. But the death knell to a salesperson, even worse than annoying, is the need to be right. To the point where they'll fight with customers. Right. No, you're wrong. You need to, it's not your place. It's not your place to do that. And they have just a need to be right and to show how smart they are. And that does two things. One of them is keep you talking. And the other thing is stop you from listening. And the third thing is make you look like a big jerk.
Yep. All three. Check the boxes.
That's right.
That's right.
And,
that's a great one. All right. So wrapping up, I guess Cruz's comments on this portion is that, I don't want any of our listeners, anybody that's watching this to get the wrong idea that every single sales event that I am in, no matter if I do it today, we're going to be talking with a potential prospect, later after this call, or after this podcast, I'm going to walk away from that and I'm going to say, man, I did a really good job here. I checked the box. Everything's good. I messed up. I mean, after all the years of training, all the years of price conditioning, all the years of things that I've done, we've been in a sales event together, and I forgot to, one of the most important things, I forgot to price condition the prospect. I mean, and we were driving back from that appointment. I remember it like it was yesterday, and I said, man, how did I miss that? Be prepared to make the mistake, all right? That contract was a nice size contract. Guess what? We didn't get it. One of the big reasons why? I didn't price condition them. There were other reasons, but I think that was a big reason why we didn't get it, was because I did a bad job. And I'm telling you, get your money's worth. So if you make that mistake and that contract was worth, I don't know, $25,000, $50,000, $100,000, $1 million, get your money's worth. I mean, learn what mistakes you're making, and then try to implement a process that will help you to fix them in the future.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
Here on the Pipe Podcast.
All right.
That was awesome.
Thanks for coming, Pete.